Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 258th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today, you are in for a treat. Linda Stevens is in the house. She has turned professional bodybuilding into a business, and she did not get started until she was well into her 40s. So she shares that story and how small changes, small commitments over short, intense time helped her reach that goal, and that's what she does with her new clients. You'll hear a little barking dog in here. I don't know, we picked up a little bit of static when I was asking questions towards the end, but just when I was asking the questions, so it'll be fine. Overall, the content is great. And you're going to hear us get into discussions about scheduling and goal setting and how we plan out our days and whatnot. And, you know, it goes back and forth. There's something to be said for having open time on your calendar so you can kind of dream, look out the window, kick your feet up. And there's also a benefit to having things mapped out. You know, I was listening to an interview about Elon Musk, and I guess he's a spreadsheet time fanatic. He's obviously getting a lot of stuff done. He's also, I guess, been divorced multiple times, can't keep a girlfriend. So, you know, there's always trade-offs. And you have to make the decision that's right for you. You know, looking at someone from the outside, you know, the grass is always greener, right? But it still needs to be watered and fed and mowed. It still gets weeds. So take what you can, right? Look at somebody that is in a position that you want to be, and then do what they do. You know, I remember one of the big things that pushed me, A, it pushed me out of the Air Force, and B, pushed me out of corporate America into my own gig, is that I would look at my bosses. I would look at people that were 5 or 10 years ahead of me, and I'd ask myself, do I want to be them? You know, would I want to change roles with them? And the answer was always no. Some of it was, you know, I didn't have bosses that were inspiring. Sometimes in corporate America, they were downright pushy jerks. And, you know, it led me away from that towards my own thing. And, you know, people are either moving towards something or away from something, right? We're moving away from pain. We're moving towards pleasure. Sales trainers, psychologists, you know, they'll say, you know, if you're trying to make the sale, if you're trying to persuade, you're always looking for people to be moving away. I wrote a blog post about that. You know, you're either a vitamin or an aspirin, and it's easier to sell aspirin. You know, we really don't have health care. We have sick care. People wait till they're sick, then they go spend some money trying to get better. But if you can treat yourself better, if you can have the foresight and the forethought to take the vitamin, right, you're going to need less aspirin. So it's the same thing in your business. Stitch in time saves 9, right? So what are you doing to find mentors, find coaches that are where you want to be, and then emulate them? You know, in my sales training, in the Make Every Sale course, I give people scripts. I give them scripts for making cold calls. I give them scripts for setting sales meetings so they have a firm agenda with a prospect. I give them scripts for following up and a lot of things. And I say, you know, use it as I wrote it at first. Use it a few times. Make a few calls with it, maybe a couple of weeks. Then start to tweak it. You know, if you look at something right away, it's like, you know, going to a golf coach, right? Going to a fitness trainer like Linda and saying, hey, I want to get, you know, bigger legs, you know, bigger, more powerful legs. And she gives you a routine. You go, yeah, that's pretty good. I've tried that before, but you know, I want to tweak that a little bit here. And it's like, what the hell? If you knew what to do, you'd already have bigger legs. You know, going to your golf pro. If you knew how to shoot scratch golf, you wouldn't come to a pro. Although the good ones, they would keep coming to a pro. But you get my point. Don't go seeking help and then criticize the recommendations. Find a good coach, believe in them, and do what they say. And only after doing what they say for an extended period of time should you even risk tweaking it somewhat. And I mean very small changes. You know, if I give you that script and you change it 5 or 10%, okay. You change it 50%, then it's not mine anymore. So I can't be held responsible for the results you may or may not get. Okay, so the things I give you are proven. The people that I have on the show are proven. You know, Linda has won awards, right? She has won competitions. She has earned her professional bodybuilding card. So, again, listen to these people that are where you want to be. And so when we talk about goals and time setting and whatnot, and pre-planning, when I get serious, it's like my swim, right? I do the Tampa Bay Frogman swim. I'd never done an open water swim. So for the first 6 months when I was preparing for it, I followed a very strict workout routine because I wanted to be sure. I wanted to be over-prepared. And because I couldn't get to the open water to train, I had to be rigorous in the pool. And I still almost failed, and it was just pride and stubbornness that helped me overcome that initial panic, that I later learned everybody kind of goes through. But now having done it, my workouts are not quite as rigorous because now I know what I have to do to maintain. Now, again, it's not a race. It's a charity event. I spend more time talking about it and helping raise money. So I'm not, it's not like the Ironman, right? I'm not trying to win this thing. So if that was the case, I'd have a stricter workout routine. But now that I've done it twice, I have a more laid back, if you will, routine, but it's still enough to ensure that I complete the swim in a good time, that I'm healthy, I'm strong, I enjoy it, right? It's not just drudgery trying to get through. So again, the point is I started strict. Once I hit my goals, once I had experience, then I modify the routine. Okay. So I just wanted to be clear on that. There's so much advice out there. There's so many people that are so-called experts. And I think we talk about it in this interview, that find someone you believe in and stick with them. Stick with them until you feel like you've plateaued. Then go find another coach. You can't have 12 coaches. It just doesn't cut it. Now, you may have 12 coaches in 12 different areas of your life, I guess, theoretically. Maybe you could have a psychologist, you could have a dietitian, you could have a strength coach, maybe a cardio coach. Okay, so maybe you could have 12, but you get my point. You can't have, two chefs in the kitchen, right? If you're going to make that award-winning recipe, you got to find someone you believe in and stick with them. And the crazy thing is it's the same thing with your ads and your marketing efforts. When you find something that works, stick with it. But you should always be striving to beat it. We as entrepreneurs get bored. We get tired of the same old, seeing an ad run over and over again. We get tired of it. And we want to change it. But you have to look at the numbers. What are the analytics? What's the ROI on that ad? If it's still good, keep running it. Now, be prepared. Eventually, there's a thing called ad fatigue. People will get tired of seeing your ad, and they'll stop clicking on it, and they'll stop noticing it. So you have to be working on alternatives. So you're always trying to beat your best performing ad, but you keep running that ad as long as it works. Okay, so again, it's something that an outsider can help you with, someone that's a specialist in pay-per-click advertising and Facebook marketing, things like that. So there's just so many things. You're not going to know it all. And even with conferences, I've pretty much stopped attending the sessions at conferences. I'm looking for the smart people. I want to surround myself with smart people. And now people are so specialized. I can find a Facebook ads specialist. I can find a Twitter ad specialist, a YouTube ad specialist, a copywriting specialist, an API specialist. So it's usually more effective, cost effective, produces better results just to find that expert, give them a job, launch it, do it right, then use it over and over again. Then I go try to learn everything, okay? But if you need some help in sales, which is the key to all of this, check out Make Every Sale, makeeverysale.com. You get lifetime access to the group, lifetime access to the calls, lifetime access to the 41-plus videos, all the templates, the scripts, the spreadsheets. So avail yourself of that. Over time, I'll just keep raising the price. So it literally will never be as low cost as it is now. All right. So jump on in, makeeverysale.com. Now let's bring on Linda. Linda Stevens, I heard you have a bodybuilding swimsuit for the snow. Is that true up there in Connecticut?
Yes, it's a faux fur lined. How's that? We don't want to offend
right. Well, you weren't supposed to answer that till the end, so we keep them in suspense. But hey, welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
Well, I won't. I'm great, thanks. I won't give away the design of it till the end.
There you go. So we have a mutual friend, and she told me great things about you. So I'm like, all right, I do whatever Baccia says. So,
Yes.
So welcome to the show. You are a professional bodybuilder, right?
Yes, I am.
How the heck did you get into that? Because we were talking before I turned record on, and you didn't get started until you were in your 40s, right? I mean, it seemed like most people do that. I don't know. I watched Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think he was lifting weights at like 2, right? So
I know.
to start at 42 is a little bit different.
Very different. Very different. I know. I started at 42, and it just sort of. Someone mentioned it to me in passing at the gym because I've always taken care of my body. I was never quite as muscular as I am now, but I always lifted weights and did cardio and lived a healthy lifestyle. So someone mentioned it in passing at the gym one day, and I just thought about it, and I went to a show with my husband, and we watched one for the hell of it. And I remember I leaned into him at the show, and I just said, there's no way I'd ever do that. And he just looked, and he sort of leaned back in. And he's like, you should do it. You'd be really good at it. And I'm like, no, there's no way I could ever walk in those shoes. So we watched it, and then we left, and I sort of let it go. And then, I don't know, it just sort of came back to me one day, and I'm like, you know what? I think I want to try it. So it just sort of took on its own life from that point. So I found a coach. I went online and just Googled some information and found a coach and bought the shoes and started practicing. And that's pretty much what happened. Picked a show and got up there and did it, and then decided I wanted to, perfect it and do better. So
bought the shoes. Is that the hardest thing? Is that the hardest thing about professional bodybuilding is just walking in the shoes? Is that what you're telling me? Come on.
It's definitely one of them. It's, I think for the first time competitor, it's a little bit of a challenge, especially when you're used to being in sneakers all the time, and then you have to put on 4.5, 5-inch heels. Right. That's a big deal. Right. But it's the whole process actually really is something as far as the diet is like no other way. And you have to be so disciplined. I mean, the diet itself is really a social life interrupter. And I think some of the people that I've helped along the way that have not stuck with it, it's because they usually can't figure out how to manage their social life and their competitive life. It's very hard you don't drink, you can't eat, can't go to a restaurant really and order off a menu. Normally you have to sort of give them a lot of different specifications. So that's one piece that's hard for a lot of people. For me, it's always been easy. I've always just sort of dialed into the diet and just put my blinders on and I go for it. I love to train, so that's not that difficult. I think the biggest piece is the social life balancing, trying to find that balance. And then the last few weeks right before a show get hard because your carbs usually are kind of low. You're doing a lot of cardio to really get any ounce of fat off your body so you can see every muscle fiber that you have. So you're feeling weak and tired and cranky and just all that. But so the last couple of weeks usually can be difficult, and especially if you have to work for most people have to work for a living unless you're independently wealthy doing this. But and if you have a family, I had kids, and whatever else your life throws at you, you have to hold it all together while you're trying to get your body to look a certain way.
Right. So for our listeners that may not be into bodybuilding, right. How do we tie this into being an entrepreneur and being in sales and goal setting? Because it sounds like, and I've known a few people that have done bodybuilding, and it is tough. My first real exposure, I was in the Air Force. I was stationed at March Air Force Base here in 1994, and I worked out with the Armed Forces bodybuilding champ. And he was a beast. And I was 24 years old back then. And we threw around a lot of weight. Golly, we used to do lunges with 225 pounds, sets. Wow. Sets.
That's crazy.
And he was stronger than me. And, and I would see him bring in Tupperware bowls of just dry rice and plain grilled chicken, and boiled eggs, no salt, no pepper. Just like, what are you doing, dude?
Just fuel. Food is fuel. That's it.
Pure fuel. But now, fast forward 20-something years, and being an entrepreneur, I feel like I've endured some of the same things, to get my business going, right? Talk about a social life interrupter. People, what are you doing today? Nothing, working on my business. What are you doing tomorrow? Working on my business. What are you doing tonight? What are you doing over the weekend? I'm working on my business. Right? So what do you do? Are you able to stay home, or do you have a job outside of this? How do you balance it all? And you said you're a wife and a mom, so I mean that's 2 extra jobs as well.
Well, it's interesting. I actually recently got divorced in January, so I'm no longer a wife. I can check that off the list. But it's I do have a job. I work in a gym during the day, morning hours. I have clients that I see regularly Monday through Sunday. I'm really in the gym. There's a local gym here that I train my clients at. So I have a personal training business.
Now, did you start that after you started competing?
Yes.
Okay.
I started that. I was doing a little bit of personal training, but it really didn't really kick in until after, probably early 40s, because I went back to school. I started personal training probably in my late 30s after my daughter was little, my second child. So I started doing that just as part-time gig, just to get out of the house a little bit and make a little bit of money so I could, get my nails done and stuff like that, for girly things. But, and then it just sort of took on a life of its own, and my client base really started to build. And then I wanted to build more of a business though out of it. So I decided to go back to school to get my master's degree in nutrition. So I did that in my mid-40s also, which allowed me to build my business as an entrepreneur, to build Linda Stevens Fitness LLC, where I can offer people a lot of different things. I can offer them just training if they just want to come in and get in shape. Some people just want that piece of it. Some people want nutrition, which is my online business. I have a lot of online clients around the United States that I work with via Skype, email, FaceTime. And then I have clients locally that I deal with that I can see in person. So I help the average person. When I say average, someone who just maybe wants to lose 5, 10, 20, 30 pounds, maybe get in shape. I also help amateur competitors who are trying to get to the stage, that want to compete in figure, bikini, or men's physique. And then there's just lots of different people that come my way, that sometimes people just want a meal plan and they want to just take something and go, and they're motivated and they can do it on their own. Other people need more hand-holding and accountability. So I've built my business, I guess, in pieces, and it's kind of evolved. Probably as any entrepreneur will, you sort of start out with something and then you find you go in different directions as you network and meet people. So currently, the way my business stands now is I have a personal training piece, I have a nutrition piece, and then I do motivational speaking now also, which is great. I just did a huge conference at the Arnold Sports Festival this past March in Ohio, and I write for several different fitness publications now, and some local publications in my area in Connecticut. So it's a great business. I love it. I feel like I can do so many things with my health and fitness credentials, between helping people, writing about it, speaking about it, doing podcasts with you, and meeting a lot of different people. So it's and competing. It's kind of a cool business, and I want it to grow more. I'm in the process of setting goals and using people like Batya Maman, and who's helping me tie my social media together and really build my presence, because that's really the biggest way to get to be known now, is through social media.
Now, are you saying that in general, or for the fitness industry in particular, or both?
Both. But I love working with the fitness industry. I love working with the general population. And the general population is really interesting to me, because there are so many women in my age demographic now that probably, I would like to say that maybe that 40 something to, late 50 or maybe even early 60 something demographic of women that are either just coming into fitness or want to get started but don't know how to start. Not sure. They know there's supplements that they should use, but they don't know which ones to use. A lot of people still don't know how to eat. They're not sure. No carbs, some carbs, paleo, vegetarian. I mean, there's just so much information out there, and I think people get overwhelmed, and they just need maybe one person to sort of tie it in for them to say, look, okay, let's look at you as an individual. What's your life like? And then let's figure out what your needs are, because it's not cookie cutter. Everybody's different.
Yeah. So how do you figure that out? How do you serve the individual needs of your clients, but also how can you scale that? Because in business, that's always a struggle. It's a struggle for me. I work with my own clients as well. If you can be McDonald's, right, you can have, billions and billions served. If you're going to create a custom thing, you got to charge more money. You can't serve quite as many. How do you find that balance?
I'm in the process of finding that balance now, but this is my vision. My vision is, through talking to different other professionals in the industry, is to sort of build a platform where an online coaching business where people can come to me through my website and answer a series of questions, and then I can build out a plan for them, charge, one fee where they'll get everything in a nice little package. So, they'd get a meal plan. I don't like to say diet because I feel like diet is such a temporary word. I think people say I'm on a diet, and that means they're going to do something for a period of time, and then they're going back to the way they used to do things. Well, I like to say meal plan because I feel like it's a lifetime thing. I like to teach, this is how you're going to live from this point on going forward. So I'll build them a meal plan. I have recipes. I have, shopping lists and food lists and all different kinds of, key information that I've got together that I'll be able to deliver to the person that pretty much will be the same for most people. It's just the meal plan will be different because everyone's an individual. Right. And then my goal to scale it really is, to take people that are serious, to be able to sort of almost interview people and sort of feel them out and see. So I like to take enough clients so that I'm busy enough, but I can still give personalized service and still obviously pay for my expenses and all the things that I need in order to be able to deliver them what they need. So I don't want to just be a McDonald's where I can just take anybody and everybody. I kind of would like to be a little more specific and take enough people so that I can do enough hand-holding and people feel like they have contact with me.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned there. So interviewing your prospects, as I tell all of my clients this in my Make Every Sale program as well. I've had for years what I call my initial process assessment. And if somebody won't spend $500 for me to do a deep dive with them and really determine what's going on, I'm never going to sell them a $2,500 or a $5,500 or a $55,000 program. Right. And because I've always told people, in their selling, in sales, our number one job is to prospect. And when we're prospecting, we are disqualifying people, right? We're looking for the person looking for me. Right. Instead of the other way around, because, when you get those motivated clients, it's kind of like, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? Right. You give them some guidance, but they're the ones that got to do that extra set, right? They got to 5 more minutes, right? 3 more pull-ups. And you're not there with them, 2 a.m., when they get a craving, you're like, don't eat that. No. But you're not there. Right? I know. So you gotta find the serious ones. And then would you say maybe that's the hardest part is just finding good clients? Because when you have a good client, they're going to get results, right? Because you know what to do. Exactly. It is. It's very hard to get people to change behavior. It's very hard. But I do get clients that come that are motivated, that want to look better, feel better,
and be a little more proactive versus waiting for something medically to happen and then they have to be reactive.
Right.
So I do get those clients. I do have clients that will go to a restaurant and be like, I don't know what to eat. And they'll text me and I'll say, all right, shoot me a picture of the menu. And they'll send me a text of the menu and I'll say, okay, this is, have a grilled
water.
Yeah. But I'll say, have a grilled steak. Tell them you want vegetables. Tell them not to put butter on the steak before they cook it. I mean, like, there's lots of things people don't realize they do in a kitchen when you go to a restaurant. They paint your steak with butter and then they throw it on the grill. And it's like, tell them, not to put butter on the steak, grill it plain. You can put seasonings on it and I'll give them. So I do get clients that are like that are very dialed in. And the competitors usually are like that because they know they're trying to achieve a look because they want to get on stage. So they're usually pretty motivated. But for the general public, yes, it's very hard to get people to change behavior. But the catch usually is I make them sign or, agree to giving me 2 full weeks dialed in on the plan that I give them. Because I find that 2 weeks, if someone can follow my plan for 2 weeks, they're going to start to feel better initially, and they're going to probably lose, anywhere between maybe 3, 5 pounds, 6 pounds, somewhere in there in a couple weeks. And I think once they see the scale and they maybe feel a little bit better, they sort of get hooked. And it's just about getting the hook. And once you can get them hooked, then, they feel they're excited about it. It's like they're like, I lost 5 pounds. And like, they think that you've just done something absolutely amazing, and then they're excited about it. They're hooked and they want to keep going. So
yep.
It's that, and it usually works. It really does work. I just got to get people to stick to it. And the area of the country that I live in, Fairfield County, Connecticut, for your listeners, anybody that's familiar with this northeast area, right outside of New York City, the people here love to drink wine, and it's. I think alcohol consumption is the biggest thing to get people to drop. They look at you like you have 2 heads when you tell them, don't drink for 2 weeks or try to cut back or. Yeah, that's the killer. That's the hardest thing.
Yeah, you said no butter and no drinking. You and I really can't be friends. So it's a good thing you live on the East Coast.
Exactly. I know people like, and one really fun thing is whenever I'm in like the grocery store shopping and I see my clients or I see people I know from the gym or just from town or whatever, and they all know what I do for a living. And, it's so funny how people stand in front of their cart almost to like guard their, or they like, don't look, or they're like, I know I haven't been to the
There's
gym.
Linda. Either ditch the basket and run or run to the checkout and check out fast before she gets here.
It's so funny. And, like every now and then, like I don't get invited to things like social events, and I don't take it personally anymore because sometimes I think people probably just think they don't want me around because I'm probably just I'm literally and figuratively a buzzkill.
No, you can be the one that takes all the sober pictures.
Exactly.
So the night can be documented.
I know. It's fun. I go out with my friends a fair amount. And they're like, can you just have one drink? I'm like, no, I'm good. But you guys do what you got to do. Don't worry about me.
Yep. All right. So I got to ask this question because I was talking about this in my training group the other day. So like in the gym, how do you typically find clients? Do they approach you? Do you approach them? Do you have like a little tabletop and brochures, or how do things get started?
It's been actually great for me. Most of my business comes to me.
Okay.
So
stop right there.
Okay.
Because that was the right answer. And for anybody watching, I'll publish the video if you want. I did not give her any hand signals. We did not communicate about this beforehand. Because the reason I brought that up, because I was talking with somebody, and because I say in sales, you have to be a product of the product. Right. If you're selling Fords, you can't show up in a Toyota. Right. It's just, sure, you can park in the back. Nobody would really know, but and that confidence comes out, or the lack of confidence. And so, and I talked about being a bodybuilder, right, or fitness training. I'm like, when you take the time to sculpt yourself and you just have this presence, right, you're in the gym being who you are, looking fit. People will then, and I was just making an educated guess, right, that people would come up to you and say, hey, how can I look like 1/10 as good as you? Boom, the door is opened. And that's because, like, with me selling Infusionsoft and selling HubSpot and sales training and marketing consulting, I can't be average, right? You can't come to my website and things not work, but then expect me to come to me for me to help you build a website, build a marketing automation program if my stuff doesn't work. So I'm glad you answered that way, because that was my assumption, right? Because I've hired trainers in the past here and there, not a whole lot, but I would see them and I'm like, hey, can you help me?
Right.
Because you're a product of the product. And so if we can just pound that in everybody's head, can you make everybody commit to 2 weeks of just really focusing on their sales and marketing?
Yes, absolutely. If not, we'll come over with dumbbells or something.
Yeah, we'll drop dumbbells on your toes if you do not do this for 2 solid weeks.
No, but it's interesting because people approach me everywhere I go, especially when the weather is nicer and I can wear like a tank top out or shorts and stuff. People will come up to me in Whole Foods or, wherever I am. My kids laugh now. They're like, "Oh, Mom, that person's staring at you." Or I'll be in a restaurant, and with friends or out, and people will come up and ask me questions. So people come to me, and it's great. I feel like I'm my own billboard. But it's funny that you say that about driving, selling Fords and driving a Toyota. But I always say to my clients, who wants to listen to a fat nutritionist?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, who's going to come to a trainer that's not in shape?
Right.
I mean, there are trainers out there that aren't in great shape, and I'm not saying they're good or bad trainers, but I mean, you're going to be drawn to someone. If you want to build muscle, you're going to be drawn to a male or a female trainer that has muscle that you can see, because you're like, wow, they must know what they're doing because their body looks great. And the same thing with the nutrition. I mean, if I were overweight, who's going to want to sit with me and discuss why they should eat better?
Right.
So, for me, it's just a lifestyle and it's something I enjoy. And I think that's the other piece of it too, is when you look the part or you have the knowledge of your profession, people are drawn to you. They feel your energy, I think, and they know that you enjoy what you do and you're good at what you do. And I think that people just feel that energy and they want to come around.
Right.
So,
Zig Ziglar always said, right? Selling is the transference of a feeling, and that feeling is confidence.
Right.
So you got to be a product of your product. And I had this great fitness training program, and I was getting it trademarked and all, but the gyms in California, they wouldn't let me bring my cigars or my whiskey into the session, so I had to drop that. So that was total bunk.
Yeah.
All right, so my cleaning lady's coming in, so we'll see if my dog barks like crazy and we have to mute this out.
Okay.
So we'll see. That's the joys and the risks of working at home. Oh, there he is, right on cue. How are you growing now? Because you mentioned, are you bringing on staff? Do you have assistants? You mentioned Batya, so you're bringing in some outsiders as consultants. Are you jumping into e-commerce? How are you going to expand from your home base there in Connecticut?
Currently, what I'm doing is I'm using Batya to help me right now get my foundation. So I feel I gotta build my foundation first. So I'm working with her to get that platform set up, so that then we can do this huge social media campaign push to get me out there. I have a lot of different videos and motivational speaking that I've done, and I want to get that out there and just get Linda Stevens much more known than I am now, out there globally, which would be nice. So that's what I'm currently doing. I don't, at this point, foresee adding employees because I really like being a one-woman show. But I guess that will all depend on the growth and how it sort of all unfolds. I'm not opposed to it, but right now it's probably just going to be a one-woman show, and hopefully I can build a base where, I'll have enough clients every month that I can handle, that obviously are going to pay me a fee that I have in place that'll, be able to allow me to be financially independent so that I can continue to bring them, good products. I think one piece of this that's really important to me is to be able to do research, go to the library, read, write, maybe take another class on something nutrition related, and stay educated, because it's such cutting edge industry. I mean, health and fitness and wellness is constantly changing. They're constantly finding new things that help. I follow some different doctors. I love Dr. David Perlmutter. He's one that I really like to listen to. And
who's that?
Dr. David Perlmutter.
Wow, how do you spell that?
I know, right? Perlmutter, I believe. And I met him actually in Las Vegas in December at an A4M conference, which is a big health and wellness conference. And he's got several books out, but he's very cutting edge, very smart. He's a medical doctor. Other doctors like Dr. Weil. There are a lot of great people out there, and it's time consuming to sit down and read. And, I do have children and I have other things going on too. So I'd like to be able to balance it because I want to be able to bring the best information I can to my clients.
Right. So that was my next question. What's in your library?
What's in my library? Lots of PubMed studies and books on nutrition and training and diet and different doctors like Dr. Perlmutter, and there's another Dr. Ludwig I follow, and just other things I like to read. It's all, I don't really get to read much fiction. I don't read any fiction. So
are you reading any sales books, any business books?
Let's see. I currently, I've read A Great Boss by another common friend that we have, Heather Havenwood, her Sexy Boss book. I've read that book, which has been great. It's given me a lot of insight on things, how we can get tied up in some of the minutia, and we need to let some of the minutia go so we can focus on the big picture. So that's been helpful, and Heather's been very key in helping me with that. So I'm not really reading many business books. I probably should, but I'm sure I'll get there.
All right.
Sure.
So how do you start each day?
Personally, during the week, my Monday through Friday routine is I get up before my kids wake, and I get my workouts going early in the morning. So I'm doing I usually like to do my cardio early in the morning fasted before I eat anything. And then my kids get up, and that whole process starts, getting them ready for school and getting them off. And then once they're off to school, I usually head to work and train my clients till about 1:00. And then I hit the gym for myself, and I lift. I usually lift in the early afternoon. And then my children get home. Everybody's home about 3-ish. Although now with sports, I've got one playing baseball after school and one's got basketball practice at night. So we're kind of, starting that process now, but it's homework. So it's a busy day. I've got to, it's compartmentalize my day because when kids come home, it's like all about them. They want to tell you what's going on. They have homework. They want to eat. They need to be dropped off. They need to be picked up. It's,
Yes.
And then probably don't start to get working on my business again until maybe like 7:30, 8:00 at night, until I go to bed till about 10:30.
Right.
So, I wish I had Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 to work on my business. I'd be huge. I wouldn't.
In a way you are. You're training clients. You can get referrals. You can get testimonials. You're visible, right? So you can generate leads that way. But, there's other things to do beyond that. But at least you're staying after it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even just being out in the grocery store and people will talk to me and ask questions. And I write for some local publications here that are just, within Lower Fairfield County, Connecticut. So it's, so it keeps me current or visible in my community and all my kids and their coaches and their families. And, it's I'm definitely always marketing. Let's put it that way.
Amen.
Always 24/7.
So what do you do when you don't feel like going to the gym? When you're kind of in a slump or just
go to the gym,
tired or maybe sore, right? You just plow through it?
Yes, usually. Yep. You know why? Because not only as a competitor, I need to be there to do the work, to put the work in, but it's a huge stress reliever. So I find even if I am tired and dragging, once I get to the gym and I start moving, I feel like a million times better. Once you get those endorphins going and the blood starts pumping, and it changes your whole attitude, outlook, everything. It makes you feel so much better. So
how much like if you follow a routine for 6 months, or let's say over a 6-month period, is the routine like exactly the same, or are you like mixing things up? You know, like for something simple, let's say like chest day. You know, is it always, you know, bench, incline, then dumbbell flies, or will you say, okay, last week I did bench first, so this week I'm going to do dumbbells first?
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
And it is that variation set for those 6 months, or is it kind of like week to week you just shock the system into something different?
You know what? I kind of change it up every time I go in. I mean, there are key moves like deadlifts and lunges and overhead press and you know, chest press and side laterals. I mean, there are key moves that you have to do, but there are so many different ways you can do them. So, I mean, right. I like to superset. I like to do drop sets. I'll change the order on exercises.
Do you write that out ahead of time, like the night before? Do you say, okay, tomorrow's chest day, so I'll do these 2 core lifts, but I'm going to do these 4, supplemental lifts, and like have a whole order before you go in?
I usually know in my head what I want to do. I don't write it down, but I usually think about it a little bit beforehand, and I decide what I want to do. I'll know that, like if I'm going into the gym today when we're done speaking and I'm going to do my glute training, I may switch up. I kind of know what I want to do in my head, but I might switch up the order. Or if it's my hamstring day, if I want to deadlift heavy, I'll start with deadlifts first, barbell deadlifts. Or if I really want to exhaust the muscle, I'll do everything before, and then I'll make my deadlifts last. But I won't be lifting as heavy because I'll be a little fatigued by then. But I'll do my deads last.
Do you find yourself sticking with it or getting after it a little bit harder because you know others are watching?
Sometimes. When I go into the gym in the early afternoon, it's usually pretty quiet. But there's another gym. One of my favorite gyms to train at is in New Haven, Connecticut. It's the Montanari Brothers Powerhouse Gym, and it's a real old school, hardcore bodybuilding gym. Lots of competitors up there, lots of big guys. And
like me, that's where I work out if I were to visit, right?
That's right. Size.
Yeah, baby. Okay. Whew, I think I heard a rib right there. Okay.
But so you know what? And it's not to say I don't work hard everywhere I am, but when I'm up there, the energy's so different.
Right.
Yeah, you kind of, I think you kick it a little bit more when you're in a place like that.
Well, I mean, the reason I'm asking is because I'm trying to tie this back to our listeners, right? That are in sales and marketing and having written goals, having a plan, having a process, and you and I are the same. And I mean, you've done this for a long time. I've done selling for a long time. I still have written goals. I still have written scripts, but I've done them for so long they're just ingrained. And I have my schedule. I may not have exactly what I'm going to do, but I have a time for writing, for blogging, for what have, right? But I don't have write a blog on this article or this topic for 897 words. I know I've got to write boom, 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 and knock it out. But in the beginning, I was very formulaic and it took me a long time to be formulaic before I could free flow it.
Right.
And I think most people, they shoot from the hip a little too much in the beginning and think they can just feel their way through. I mean, would you say, like, in the beginning, were you more formulaic than you are now?
I think so. Definitely. I mean, when I first started out with training, I would write stuff down. I'd write client workouts down. Now it's a little bit different. If someone comes in and tells me they want to change a specific body part or they want to focus on something, I kind of already know off the bat, like what I need to do with them.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't want to say I wing it, but I feel like, I've done it. I've been doing it long enough now that I know what I need to do, or I know how to tell someone to eat if they say they're having a problem with digestion or
right.
whatever it is. I can think, I already know like a couple things to tell them maybe they should supplement with or do or whatever. So it's, it becomes, I think because I live the lifestyle too. So I know.
Right. All right. So speaking of lifestyle, where do we send people to learn more about your lifestyle and if they want to improve their own lifestyle? so they can be like Linda?
They can go to my website. It's probably the best place, because if they want to email me, they can email me right through my website also. The easiest way to get to my website, it's Linda M. Stevens, STEPHENS.com. It's LindaMStevens.com.
Okay.
That's the easiest way. It's also, it comes up under figurefitnesstraining.com also. It's the same website.
Right.
And they can go there and email me. I have a lot of links to articles that I've written on there, different pictures of competitors that I've helped, pictures of me on stage, and other, links and companies and things that I like, products that I use.
Right.
So that's the easiest way to find me.
All
And
right, we'll link there as well. I already got them built into your Instagram, your Twitter. And then I've been to your site. Looks good. Lots of resources. And we'll link as well. I looked up. Oh, now I got to scroll up. Dr. David Perlmutter. I looked him up. That is an interesting spelling. So we'll have that there.
Yeah, he's great.
Well.
There's also a great company I want to give you too. It's Warhammer Gym Gear.
Okay.
And it's a great company that I've just recently got behind. They make obviously gym clothes, and you'll appreciate this. Patrick Miller, who owns the company, is a former U.S. Marine, and he gives back to the vets and the wounded warriors.
Nice.
So he has awesome gym clothes, and so I've just they've sponsored me, so they help me with my endeavors, and I help them by wearing their clothing and sponsoring them. So WarhammerGymGear.com is another great company that I've just recently got behind. And I don't normally do that, but I just feel like it's a great story, and I love our troops. I don't think they get enough support, so I feel like it's a great way to give back to the military.
Right. Very cool.
And thank you for your service too, by the way.
Hey, thank you. I'd do it again. All right, Linda Stevens, all the way from cold Connecticut. Welcome.
It's trying to be spring. It's trying to be spring.
Aha. All right. Well, hey, thanks for being a guest on the Sales Podcast. You have a great day.
Thanks, Wes, and happy birthday.
Hey, thank you very much. Hey, I hope you liked that. It was great catching up with Linda. We covered a lot of different things. And you know what? Do not take your diet and exercise for granted. People ask how I get so much done, and even in the dark days, when I wasn't sure how I was going to make this thing work, I kept working out. Now, granted, I went through some long stretches of just going through the motions. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a partner, but I didn't skip. Okay, I may have short workouts, right? Instead of an hour, I may go 30 minutes or even 20 minutes. But I kept the momentum of at least going. And I can't tell you how important that is. And now, I've been doing jiu-jitsu. It's a group of guys. In the jiu-jitsu world, the leader is called a professor. And really, any of the black belts, we have several black belts in the dojo, in the gym with us, and you call all of them professors. And they really are. I mean, these guys know so much. My professor, golly, he's been doing this almost 30 years. He just turned 50, and the guy's just unbelievable, but super technical. But having a group of people that help hold you accountable, guys you can look forward to, guys that'll talk smack. We hit each other up on Facebook. Hey, are you going? And then, hey, how come you didn't go? That type of accountability. I'm working out much more often and much harder than I did when I was alone. So if I could change anything going back 5-6 years, would be I would have started jiu-jitsu earlier, right? Or at least had a training partner, or if I had the money, back then, gotten a workout coach, right? A fitness coach to train me and make sure that I'm getting it done. Having somebody that helps keep you accountable, it just helps. You're going to get better. I've told the story many times about golfing. My dad got me golf lessons when I turned 23. And then after, I don't know, it was probably 5 months or so, 4 or 5 months, I got lessons with a pro that filmed me. And that was instrumental. When I look back at my sales training, I hired a coach back in 05, 06, took his 12-week course, and then I hired him for one-on-one. And one of the first things he made me do was record my calls. And then he would break them down for me. And I could see where I was making the mistakes. I could see where I was inviting objections. I could see where I was hesitating and creating uncertainty in the mind of the prospect. I was bringing about my own objections and failures. So when you're really getting serious and you're really committed, you'll find someone that'll hold you accountable. Somebody that'll coach you, push you, and help you grow. So it doesn't matter what you do. Find somebody to help and go do it as best you can. All right. If it's sales training, then check out Make Every Sale, makeeverysale.com. I talked about at the top of the show, lifetime access, and the price will keep going up. So lock it in now. Get that lifetime growth, lifetime accountability through a group of motivated people that want to help you grow. If you need some one-on-one help, 90-day concentrated effort, check out bestcrmhelp.com. 90 days with myself, my team, and I'll pull in the experts that you need to implement the growth and the tools that you need to grow. All right? So, hey, thanks for listening. Please share this. Leave a 5-star review. It's amazing how few of you do that. Could you please, pretty please, leave a 5-star review? That would help so much. And then remember to always sell different.